Good morning, welcome back to the woods. First things first, I gotta light a fire. I always light a fire, but I'm not going to use a knife today, or an axe, or a saw. I'm going to use my ESEE tool. I'm going to use this bit of fatwood left from last week, and a ferrorod. Now there's remnants left of last time's fire, and it's basically one log which is burned a bit and another little piece, and I'm going to light the fire on top of that log. Now when I leave, I always soak my wood, so obviously don't burn the place down, not that I'm going to do that anyway. I'm going to use these, and I'm going to use some sticks from the floor. I gathered a few dry ones last time and they've been sitting on top of a log, so hopefully they're going to nurture this little flame into a bigger flame. And then I'm just going to use twigs, so no knife, no saw, no axe, no split wood. That should be enough. Full hat, cold head. I'm not out of the woods yet, so to speak. Still need to keep adding on because there's no decent base there. I'd call that a success. I gotta say, using fatwood as scrapings is far better than trying to make a little feather stick with it. Thumbs up from me. So the 30-odd-year-old kettle is on. Nice warm cup of tea for me. And one thing I wanted to say, if you're new to the channel, bear in mind that my ESEE tool has been modified with a really sharp 90 on one side. You won't scrape that well with a stock one. Okay? Well, I'm going to rummage around for some more sticks now. Keep this fire going. And then I'm just going to put some splits on. I've proved my point. Well, all the small stuff's burnt now, and I put a few splits on and I put it in a parallel fire lay, so that'll be nice and easy to maintain now for the rest of the day. Just keep adding splits on and it'll burn nice. It's a bit smoky now because I've just adjusted it. Needs a couple of minutes to just fire up. So just a quick little chat now about the ESEE tool. Now, if you're a regular viewer and you've been watching me a while, you've probably seen this before. Hang on, you can't really see me. There we are. Do my copper's corner thing. Well, I usually carry the ESEE tool with this little fire lighting kit. And in it I have... In fact, I haven't used this for quite a while, so I can't even remember what's in here. Ah, right. I got a piece of flint. For some unknown reason, I've got a little piece of sisal. I got some homemade armadillo. I got some King Alfred's cake fungi. Then I got a bit of a separator then, which is a piece of denim, so if I want to make some chalk cloth, if I run out, I've got some, but in the bottom I've got quite a bit of chalk cloth. So that's my little fire lighting kit that I keep with the ESEE. I rate this ESEE tool. I really like it. I've been using it for a good few years now, long before I started the channel up. And it's a definite improvement putting a 90 on one side and shining it up, because there's no way that'll scrape any kind of wood without doing that. It's just too rounded. So I keep one side for the flint, and then I keep one side for scraping and ferrorod lighting. There we are. So that's how I carry my ESEE tool. Seeing as summer's on its way, although it's not particularly summer now, it's the middle of March, but I thought I'd bring out my summer cutting kit today. Which consists of a little baby axe, the Gransford outdoor axe. As you can see, I've barely used it. It's like new, because I do prefer a bigger axe, especially now I've got right in a big axes. But what this has got going for it is the profile for splitting. The only thing with it, it's a bit on the light side, so you can't really split some massive stuff with it. Toby Hobby sheath, because I bought it from Toby Hobby. And my favourite saw, which you probably saw last time, because I brought it last time, is the Silky Big Boy straight blade medium teeth. As I said last time, I think the most versatile saw a bushcrafter can carry. You can cut big logs with it, and you can craft with it. Great bit of kit. And they're all in my Journeyman Handicraft pouch. Now I think he sells these, and this is the original one because it was my idea, because I'm a smart ass and I'm fussy. summer knife would usually be, well, anything really, bush tool, but I am quite fond of this, and this has been my go-to in my bag. So every time I come up here with a new knife, in the last 4 months since I made it, I've had this in my bag. I do like this knife. This is my FTP in RWL 34 with a pretty handle and a butt plate. So a nice little summer setup, I think. Right, so I mentioned earlier, probably you're watching the video 10 seconds earlier, that this is a bit light for some heavy splitting, but you can use a batten with it, no problem at all. Now the batten I've got here, which I regularly use with knives, is this type. Probably need a new one before long, they don't last forever. But you can make a mallet. I brought my little hole boring kit with me, and I'm going to look for a suitable piece of wood now to make a mallet. In my wood pile I just found this. It's a shame it's got a kink in it, but I'm going to use this for the handle. I haven't got a clue what I made this for, I really don't know. But it's just about perfect apart from the kink, but I don't care about the kink. So that's going to be my handle. As I say, I've got to look for a piece of wood. Unfortunately, I haven't got a hell of a lot of diverse woods up here, and most hardwoods are dead and rotting. So I'm going to have to use a piece of spruce. And I'm going to look for a piece of spruce now. About so diameter. Ideally, it would be a lot bigger so I can get the weight behind it. But I think I've got a piece about such a size, and I'm going to pick a piece with some knots in it to give it strength. Obviously, if it's just a nice straight grain piece, there's a good chance it'll split. Knots will give it strength. This one will do just fine. I got my largest bit in, the other ones are just too small, and I'm going to drill the hole somewhere between the knots, but I'm not going to cut this until I've done it, just in case it doesn't work, and then I'll have just wasted 2 saw cuts. Well, this gadget isn't proving to work very well. The jaws aren't holding it. I'll get through here, but it's going to take a while. And then I think I'm going to have to invest in a Scotch eye auger, because this just isn't doing the job I wanted to do. Well, that's a big fat fail. I'm only up to there, and it must have taken me 10 minutes. It's slipping all the time. I've worn the jaws away. I'll have to think of a plan B. I need at least another inch in there, and it is taking forever. Right, change of tactics. I'll put a smaller one in. I'm wondering now if it's the width of the cut is just not right. I need a smaller bit in. unbelievable. It's working a treat. So now I know that bit is too big. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to put the handle, bit of a step in it, bit of a wedge, knock it in. Should work. Should. My poor old dad will be turning in his grave if he saw how shit this bit of carpentry is. He was a joiner and he was very good at it. I forgot how shit silky saws are at going down the grain. They're really slow. I'm going to take a little bit more. Get it? It's on a wonk. Oh shit, that way. Mjolnir, she isn't, but it's quite a weight on it. In fact, I think I should have put the thicker end in there. Live and learn. I'm doing a lot of that recently. Right, I'm just going to take the edge off now. Well, if I'd have realised how soggy that was, I'd have never made it. But it'll do. It'll do. Now for a test. I'd normally cut this half this size, but well, let's give it a go. Now I can see why that collar's on there. Well, that done the job. And I'll tell you one thing, I know for a fact, if I had a small forest axe and no muilti, I wouldn't have gone through that. It was too long and I had quite a few knots in it. So it's a good technique, but let's face it, if I'd have spent 10 minutes, perhaps less, making a regular batten, but out of a piece like this, it would have done just the same job. You know, that has taken a bit of abuse, but as I said, I wouldn't have used a piece of wood like this ideally, because it's a bit soggy on the outside. But it worked, and that's the main thing. My work is done. Cup of tea. That was a waste of an hour, but there we are, lessons have been learnt. Now, nearly every year when we've been to Sweden on a canoe trip, either Scott or Russ has made one of them, a big one, for that purpose, safely splitting wood with an axe. And they haven't taken any time at all with a Scotch eye auger. So my little gadget basically is no good for anything bigger than half an inch. It's just not. So if you're thinking of doing one, or you've already bought the kit to make one, don't bother, leave it at home. Get yourself a Scotch eye auger, which I'm going to do quite soon. But then again, I could just make your regular type of batten or baton, one of these, but that big, and it'd take 10 minutes. Well, I'm going to have a cup of tea now. Remember this from my skookum video? Well, I gotta be honest, I do find a knife this size a lot better for small work. I know there's only like an inch difference in the blade, but it's so much easier to choke up, and you can do a lot with a knife that size. I think if you're using an axe and a knife, that's about the best size, I think. Although I love the skookum, the bush tool design, I do think if you're using an axe, slightly shorter blade. I remember when Scott and I went out to Moses and did the winter skills course. A year later, I think it was a year anyway, or it could have been a few months, no, it was a year. A year later, we went on a course with Woodsmoke and a Wild Human, and that was in June, I believe, and that was the native course, and it complemented Mars' course down to the T. Oh, it really did. The stuff we learnt for the winter and then the stuff we learnt in the UK the following year, them two courses are probably the best courses I've ever been on. I learnt so much. And Wild Human is still going, and Ben is a top guy and he really knows his stuff. I would suggest, and he hasn't told me to say this, I'm saying this, I would suggest if you're looking for any courses in the UK, Ben McNutt and Wild Human, definitely 100%. And I went on this Panama trip as well, and the Scotland one, and they were all brilliant. He's a good guy, he's got a good sense of humour, he's quite dry, but he's a top bloke and he really knows his shit. You feel very safe with him in foreign lands like Scotland with the midges, which were atrocious. Well, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate your support, and a thumbs up is always appreciated. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It really helps the channel and myself a lot. As for the mallet, well, it's a bit crap, but there we are. Really speaking, I should have put a longer, thicker handle on it, because the handle's no good. The balance is all off, but I don't think it's going to last that long anyway. So you are warned. If you want to make holes, get a Scotch eye auger. Until the next time, well, I'm off. Saying that, I'm off now. I'm going to finish my Skookum review, and I'm going to go make a bow drill. But that's it for this video. Ta-ra. Super major fail. That's in. I can't get it out. The jaws have just gone too rounded. What an idiot. It'll come, but I'm not going to use this thing again. I've rounded the jaws. I've spent far too much time pissing about with it. So that's the end of that. The bits can go back in my carpentry kit, and I'm going to buy or make a Scotch eye auger, because this is shit. I will get it out. It'll take a bit of fiddling. Luckily, I just put the kettle on, and now I need a cup of tea to cool my temper down. Well, after a bit of a wiggle, it's out. I'm still going to try this. If I can get all the shavings out, should be okay. Maybe shit, but I'm invested now, so that's the end of that. Fuck it, can't be arsed.